I didn't come to Pandora because I believed in it. I came because Earth didn't have much left for someone like me. Back home, I was a former Marine with legs that no longer worked and a future that had already closed its doors. When my brother died, his place in the Avatar program was suddenly empty, and since we shared the same DNA, that seat became mine. One flight across the stars later, I woke up on a world that felt more alive than anything I'd ever known. Pandora wasn't just another planet. It breathed. It watched you, and it didn't care who you were unless you learned how to belong. The atmosphere alone could kill a human in minutes, which was why the Avatar program existed. Scientists had grown hybrid bodies, part human, part Gnostics, designed to survive the planet and connect with its native people. When I first linked into my avatar, it felt like being reborn. I could run. I could feel the ground beneath my feet. For the first time in years, my body listened to me. That alone was enough to make me forget why I was really there. The mission was simple on paper. Earn the trust of the Gnostics. Learn their ways. Convince them to move away from land that held a mineral humans wanted more than anything else. Unobtainium. That was the name. Rare. Valuable. And buried directly beneath the Gnostics' home. The corporation funding the operation didn't see a culture. They saw an obstacle. And I was supposed to be the bridge that solved the problem quietly. Everything changed the moment I got lost in the jungle. Pandora isn't forgiving. The forest is beautiful, but it's also ruthless. Creatures hunt without hesitation, and the rules of survival are written into the ecosystem itself. That night, alone and surrounded by glowing plants and unfamiliar sounds, I should have died. Instead, I met Neytiri. She watched me first, judged me, and decided I was worth saving. That decision changed my life. She took me to her people, the Omadikea clan. They didn't trust me. Why would they? I was a stranger wearing a body that looked like theirs but smelled like something else. Something foreign. Something wrong. Still, they gave me a chance. Not because of who I was, but because of what I might become. I began learning their ways. How to move through the forest without disturbing it. How to listen instead of dominate. How to see life as something connected, not conquered. The Gnostics didn't just live on Pandora, they were part of it. Every creature, every tree, every breath was linked through Eywa, a network of life that remembered everything. The more time I spent with them, the harder it became to see my original mission as anything but a lie. Neytiri became my teacher. She was patient, fierce, and deeply rooted in her world. Through her eyes, I saw Pandora not as a resource, but as a living system worth protecting. And somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending. The avatar stopped feeling like a tool, started feeling like my real body, my real life. Back at the human base, things looked very different. The military presence was growing. Security meetings were turning into strategy sessions. Words like relocation quietly shifted into force. I was expected to provide intel maps, weaknesses, cultural pressure points. And I did. First, I told myself I was buying time, that I could find another way. But every report I sent made me complicit in something I could no longer justify. The line between who I was and who I was pretending to be started to collapse. As I earned the clan's trust, I was invited into their deeper traditions. I learned what it meant to bond with a dire horse, to feel another being move with you instead of beneath you. I learned the responsibility that came with power. Strength wasn't about dominance here. It was about balance, about knowing when not to act. And then came the moment that changed everything, the Tree of Voices, a sacred place where the Gnostics connected with their ancestors, where memories lived on. Standing there, watching them pray, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to admit before. These people weren't primitive. They weren't expendable. They were more advanced in ways humanity had forgotten how to measure. I fell in love with Neytiri, with the people, with the planet, and with the version of myself that existed here, the one who could stand, run, fight, and belong. But lies don't stay buried forever. When my true purpose was revealed, the betrayal cut deeper than any weapon could. Trust shattered. I wasn't just an outsider anymore. I was a symbol of everything they feared. The humans didn't wait for forgiveness or negotiation. They moved forward with their plans, backed by machines and firepower that had no place in a living world. I was forced to choose who I really was. The Avatar program had given me legs, but Pandora gave me something else, purpose. I wasn't fighting for a paycheck anymore. I wasn't following orders. I was standing between two worlds, knowing I could never fully belong to both again. As tensions rose, alliances shifted. The Gnostics prepared to defend what was sacred to them. The humans prepared to take what they believed was theirs. And I stood in the middle, no longer pretending neutrality was possible. This is where my story pauses. Before the world decides what kind of future it deserves. Before machines test themselves against a planet that remembers every wound. Before loyalty, identity, and survival collide in ways no one can take back. What matters is this: I came to Pandora thinking I had nothing left to lose. I didn't expect to find something worth protecting. I didn't expect to become someone else entirely. And I didn't expect to learn that sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought with weapons, but with the choice to stand on the right side of history.